I have Ankit Gupta with me. He's a rockstar analyst with our application services team. And every time I speak to him, I learn something new. And we were talking about the application services world and how applications are becoming so central to businesses. It's like there's an applications for business or there's a business of applications. And Ankit, I wanted to get your views on it. How are you seeing the model changing?
Uh, Thanks, Ronak, first of all, for having me and taking out time to have this forum in place. With regards to applications, let's talk about business first. There is a significant rise in velocity of change for all the businesses that we know. Now, with that, IT and specifically applications are becoming integral and critical to the business. Essentially, applications are enabling or driving velocity for the businesses, right? When we think about how is this happening, the first thing to talk about is the product-centric operating model because gives you kind of a framework to work with wherein business and IT can collaborate and eventually create value for business because that's the end outcome that we are looking for. And as an extension to that is the OKRs. Few years back, OKRs was just for technology firms, the big tech firms, as we say. But now, with applications being core to the businesses, OKRs are very important and relevant for everyone. And sequentially, the transition of IT is happening through OKRs for businesses.
Yeah, so driving velocity of change using an operating model that allows you to drive that change and then measuring it and driving that change through a philosophy of OKRs is what you are basically saying is the business of applications or the applications for business. But at
Yeah.
the same time, I read in one of your research notes about how cloud was that catalyst for change in the infrastructure market. You believe generative AI is that catalyst for change and it's going to create significant disruption in the applications world. So
Oh,
what's going with generative AI and how do you see that world changing?
Oh, sure. And certainly, I think there's no conversation which goes beyond having a side track to Gen AI. So I think that's the core. But of course, when we think about application services and the impact that it is, all of these technologies are creating, nothing is in silo. Generative AI in combination with the erstwhile AI is where the impact is being created, right? And generative AI is essentially disrupting all the phases of SDLC. If I think about the entire application services, this is the one of the most impacted areas when it comes to Gen AI and its implications on IT services eventually. Right from development, design to QA, maintenance, every aspect is getting impacted. And we'll have more news to come in a subsequent month across service providers because they are investing significantly and so are the enterprises. I'm very gung-ho about it. And I think, as you articulated, Gen AI is the cloud moment for applications.
And again, you mentioned, right, the suppliers in the ecosystem, the IT service providers and the consulting firms are also investing into the business of applications, right? So what we are seeing is you want to drive innovation for your clients. You want to do this at speed and scale, and you want to use the latest technology to build the applications, run and operate these to drive that innovation and change. And for that, we are seeing suppliers rebranding a lot of their application services offering, right? I saw Dev IQ by SoftServe, which is around advisory around the software development lifecycle. We saw Entity Data launching Launch, right, which is their brand around application services and driving design and innovation. What are you seeing, right? Is this like isolated, or are we going to see a lot of this? And what's the value that all of these offerings are bringing for their clients?
I'll just add one more to that. Last week, Cognizant announced FlowSource, which is on similar lines, integrated platform for application services and beyond. So of course, from a service provider vantage point, they want to put the word out that they are investing into Gen AI heavily and really making the impact across the software development lifecycle that we spoke in the last question. When we think about clients, and the Gen AI powered investments that the service providers are bringing to the table for them, eventually, if we think about it, for them, it's a win-win situation. It's faster time to market, better quality, and potentially, I'm using the word potentially cautiously here because you don't know what cost would unfold for Gen AI, potentially at lower price. So in 2024, I think with current macroeconomic situation, it necessarily and very nicely ties back to enterprise mantra of achieving more with less. And all of these offerings are essentially trying to enable that for their clients, and which is a good news for entire IT services landscape and market.
Yeah, and I think this mantra of driving more from less should be the key thing that we're going to see a lot more. I think we already saw it in 2023. It was more from less. I think 2024 is going to be more from further, more less. And I think that's going
Yeah.
to be the theme that we're going to take here. But Ankit, thank you for this conversation. This is really insightful. I'm looking forward to our next one. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Ronak.